Star Wars The Clone Wars is a movie that I just watched. I actually thought it was pretty good, but when I watched it just now, I didn't know that it was actually released in theaters. Like when it came out in theaters in 2008, I guess. I totally missed it. I like vaguely remember somebody saying, "You want to go see the Clone Wars?" And I was like, "You mean episode 2? I mean, why is that in theaters?" And they're like, "No, they made another Star Wars movie." I was like, "That's a bad idea. The prequels just came out. Nothing else has been. I hadn't heard anything since then, outside of that vague memory when I was probably drunk too. So I'm 3 years sober now. But while I was watching it, I had a good time, and then I was like, why does this have a 18% on Rotten Tomatoes? Oh, it was released in theaters. That was a bad idea. Because it felt like it was a made-for-TV movie. It actually felt like 5 episodes of the show, just put together. And I could tell that right away because, like, every 20 minutes, like, the whole tone and at least part of the story would change, and suddenly it would be about something else. That's like just like a TV show, no big deal. But like as a movie, I would have been pretty disappointed if I saw this in theaters just because it was like kind of the tone was all over the place and the story was all over the place. I mean, like when you make a movie, it should be about basically one thing, maybe sometimes another thing as like a side plot. But okay, let's see. The first episode, the first 20 minutes, I'll say is basically it's like a war movie. There's a lot of big battle scenes and like the clones and the Jedi being clever and stuff. And then the second episode was more like a buddy cop film kind of because after that first episode, I'm just gonna call them episodes because that's the way I see them. Ahsoka shows up and she's like, "I'm Anakin's Padawan," and they thought that Obi-Wan was getting a new Padawan because Anakin graduated to be so he's a Jedi Knight now. But then Ahsoka shows up and like, actually, I'm Anakin's Padawan, and so it's kind of like a big buddy cop film in that they're like just getting to know each other, and there's kind of some humor to it. There's actually a lot of funny moments in this, especially coming from the droids. Oddly enough, the battle droids are like all really stupid because they're cheap. I'm guessing.
Concentrate fire on sector 11374265. 1137. What was that again? Just fire right there.
And I like that each one kind of has their own personality. That was like they didn't do that at all in the movies, but like it makes sense that they would have their own personalities because for whatever reason, droids in the Star Wars universe, or the robots that they call droids, they all have their own personalities and own brains pretty much. I don't know why. I don't know if they ever explained how they make droids or if they're like connected to the Force somehow, so they actually have to imprint a soul into them. This is the only way we know how to make robots. You first you get some metal, and you get a soul, and you got a robot. But if anyone out there knows anything about that, if there's something in the extended universe that explains this is how droids are made, that would be interesting. Each droid is different. I got off topic. I'm sorry. Then the third episode, that one was them about. Oh yeah, in the second episode they also introduced this like Stinky plot. Stinky is what they call Jabba's son. I don't know. He's the MacGuffin, pretty much. It's really stupid. But they get Stinky at the end of the second episode, and then the third episode, they're beginning like the journey. It's like that one, I guess, would be more like an adventure movie, I guess. But while that's going on, Dooku is tricking Jabba into making him believe that the Jedi actually stole his son, and so he should side with him instead. And then there's another plot line going on where he's sending his apprentice to kill Jabba's son. Then we come to the fourth episode. That's another buddy cop movie because it's about them trying to get away, and there's like this huge chase scene at the end of it. That one was pretty good. Actually, I'd say they were all pretty good except the third one. The one right in the middle, outside of that plot line about Dooku tricking Jabba, it just seemed kind of like long-winded and drawn out. And it felt like you kind of cut it down and then just have 4 episodes to create the movie instead of 5, just to introduce that plot line and then like get back to the good stuff, so to speak. The 5th episode, that one surprised me. It was basically in a noir style. And being that it was the final episode and just to go out on a noir, it was interesting to me. I enjoyed that one the most, though, I think. Also, Padme was in it. I like Padme. I don't know. If I saw this in theaters, I'd be really upset about that because, like, why would you add Padme in the last 20 minutes of the thing? That doesn't make sense. You don't do that. You don't add characters. like that. Even though it's like an already established characters, they do nothing to introduce that she's even there until the last 20 minutes of the movie. But the last episode, like, just it was just so tonally different from the rest of it too. It was just weird, really. And overall, I would say like this didn't have to be a movie. This shouldn't have been a movie. Okay, let's go into what I didn't like first, because that'll actually be shorter. I didn't like the animation style at first, but once the Stockholm Syndrome sunk in, I actually kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty unique and different, and it was actually pretty good. And I think the show continues on in the same style. So I guess that's something I didn't like at first. Well, I didn't like the tonal and pacing issues, but if that's only because this came out in theaters, right? I was still like Ahsoka at first. I thought she was really annoying, but she grew on me just like the animation did. I guess that's the majority of what I didn't like. There were, I mean, other than like minor things, I'm sure there was like there's a lot of corny lines I felt. I think they were going for a certain tone with the dialogue and that aspect, and I just didn't feel like Star Wars exactly. It felt like some dumbed down kiddie version of Star Wars. And I know that's kind of the age group they're going for, but there's a lot of adults that are into this stuff too. And I mean, I'm gonna watch all this stuff. Why not? So, and I think they should have realized that and gone for maybe a more adult audience right away. Like the original Star Wars trilogy, I felt was good. Like kids are into Star Wars, you know? Like the original Star Wars trilogy, I thought was great from when I was 4 onward. But it's not a kids movie exactly. I mean, like kids can watch it, but it's like they get something different out of it than adults do, But there's stuff for everyone basically, and that's something that I think they forgot while the prequels are being made, and maybe they kind of started to remember when they made this movie, but it was still, I don't know, still kind of a mixed bag just in that regard, just in like the maturity level of this as a whole. But I guess I'll get into what I liked about it. I thought the voice acting was great throughout. Even Ahsoka, who I thought was a bit of annoying at first, she's still well done voice acting wise, even those annoying lines she has at points. The action was all really good, especially the spaceship battle towards the end of the 4th episode. I like that they gave the clones personalities. That was something also, like the clones and the droids, actually, because I felt that was mostly missing from the movies. I mean, some here and there. Like everyone remembers Commander Cody, right? No. Giving the clones their own distinct personalities is a good choice. And they should have done that in the movies, but, it's too late. Just because they are living, I mean, they're living people, right? Even if they are clones, they still have a right to be alive and everything. And so do the droids, too, which always makes me kind of sad when a bunch of them die. I'm not really. It's just, but it is a good choice, I think, to make every character more human. I guess I'll just rate it because I don't know what else to say right now. Other than I'm excited to watch the show now. I wish this hadn't been released in theaters, or I'd give it a higher rating. Just because it's not a movie. It's a series of episodes. Because a movie usually has a consistent tone and a consistent story. And this has neither. I'd probably give it an 8 if it was on TV. And I'd say I'd give it a -2. So it's a 6 for being released in theaters and having those tonal issues and inconsistent pacing. And also, I guess, for that slower middle part. But I'd actually give it an extra point both for the action throughout and the music, which I forgot to mention. The music is great, and it's like really different sometimes. And like during the noir thing, they started doing like more jazzy style music, and I was like, oh, that's neat. When the tone shifts, the music also shifts, which I think it actually works for it. Works for the shifting tonality for the music to also shift with it, but it still has that shifting tone throughout the whole thing, and the music can't save it from that. But so yeah, I'd say 7 out of 10 for all those things I said.